Hello. So thanks everyone for coming. I think we're one person short today, but that's okay. I'll have you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into the questions.
Yeah, my name's Leighton. I'm one of the co-founders of a DeFi protocol called PoolTogether, CEO of PoolTogether Inc. And yeah, I've been contributing full-time in the space for about 4 years.
And my name is Marc. I'm the founder of the AAVE Child Initiative. AAVE is a liquidity protocol on decentralized finance, and we are the main contributor to the AAVE DAO. And I've been contributing since a few years, and we work together, we PoolTogether since more than 3 years now. So yeah, we were not the first pool. I think it was Compound on your side with CUSD, but we got AAVE pool at some point. That was cool.
Yeah, so the PoolTogether protocol is integrated with AAVE.
Yeah, and I'm also a proud Pooly NFT owner. Is there any other Pooly? Yeah, guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for everyone who bought a Pooly. We would not have made it through the last almost 2 years. Well, the Pooly sale was a year ago, but it was been about almost 2 years since the litigation was ongoing, and we would definitely not have survived it without your support. So very sincere thanks.
Okay. Well, I know today's like headline thing for this talk is Headwinds, Tailwinds, and Whitespace. So I guess I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about what you guys think is currently going well in the industry, and I think we'll start with that, and then maybe we can go into things that you think need improvement as well.
What's going well first?
Yeah, let's do the good stuff first.
Well, I can be optimistic. This is supposed to be the bear market. I don't know. I don't know if you saw, like, for the past few days, everybody is building cool stuff. Like, it's an incredible week for me. It's a great HCC conference. Obviously, Celo is a layer 2 or upcoming layer 2 very soon, and it's absolutely fantastic. There's been development left and right. Everybody's head down buildings, so it doesn't feel like a down market for me. But yeah, incredibly optimistic of where we are going in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm most excited about, to maybe a little bit of a more, I'm really excited about DeFi going into the future, because I think we have learned a lot from the mistakes of the last like 2.5 years. And so I think that's something that there's a lot of exciting things happening outside the DeFi space, but I think the DeFi space has been a little lethargic for the last like 1.5 years, but I'm actually super optimistic going forward, because I think we've learned a ton from the mistakes of the last 2 years, and applying those is going to be really fruitful.
What do you think? Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just going to make a joke. But
please make your joke. I feel like I've ruined it.
Next time.
All right. So what do you think are like some of the things that like in DeFi space today that still kind of needs improvement? Like what areas are you guys particularly focused on as well that you think you can see like really we need to improve on the space and kind of work together to make DeFi like more adoptable in the mainstream world?
The first thing is that there's several things. One of the first important thing is infrastructure, and we are hosted by Celo, and I think it's really important to remind ourselves that I'm not contributing to decentralized finance to make some products and some protocol that are only accessible to people that have at least $50,000, because if you have less than $50,000, depositing on AAVE on Ethereum mainnet will cost you $50 of transaction fees, so it doesn't make sense. I'm very happy that you, not right now, but let's see what the AAVE governance decide, but maybe one day you can have AAVE on Celo and your transaction fee is less than 1 cent, so you can use AAVE with $10 and it makes sense to do that. And we see USD and this kind of specific stablecoin they have in their ecosystem to have DeFi for everyone, because if DeFi is for the rich, traditional finance is already finance for the rich. So what's the point?
Yeah, well, that's a good one. And yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I look back on the last 2 years, I think one of the biggest failures of DeFi has been governance tokens. Like, I think governance tokens just have not worked. And I think like if you rewind 2 years, the vision of governance tokens was amazing. Like when Comp first launched and sort of kicked off that phase, the vision was, okay, if you use a protocol, you automatically become an owner of the protocol. You get ownership just by using it. And then if you have the ownership, you get to decide where that protocol goes, like what governance choices. But I'd actually be curious, like, has anyone in here ever voted in like a governance proposal?
Yeah,
Okay, that's actually like half the
much
people.
more than you think.
That's pretty good. Well, wait, let me first finish my
Okay,
critique,
okay.
and then you can
Then we
defend it.
fight. Then we fight.
But I do think I think though this from notwithstanding, this is the counterpoint. But the reality is the engagement that we've seen like across PoolTogether, but across all like DeFi protocols has been like pretty lethargic. And so I think the question I have going into the next phase of growth is like, okay, how do we keep that really cool vision of like user ownership, but how do we actually implement it in such a way where it doesn't just become, 10 to 15 or 20 people making these like governance decisions. There's actually like more robust engagement around it. But if you have a counterpoint.
Yeah, to me, it's a lot of people have a vision of what should be decentralization that is a very flat organization. So decentralized autonomous organization, the organization part should be extremely flat. One person, one vote, one token holder, one voice. And I think that's naive in the sense that it maybe comes from the experience of the historic experience of ancient Greece, where you are like those citizens in the forum. But I want to remind everybody that it was 40,000 guys, and guys, not women, because women had zero voting rights and political rights, and 3 men, because the slaves were not participating in politics, they were actually doing all the work. So obviously, when you are a rich man that doesn't have to work, you can focus and spend 60 hours a week to do governance and say, oh yes, this button should be red, this button should be blue, because you have nothing else to do. But when you work 40 hours a week and you have 2 hours commute every day, you have better things to do. And that's why we have representative democracy. Usually you say, oh, this guy with the blue shirt, the blue tie, or this guy with the red tie, or this woman with whatever. I believe in their ideas, and I will want to, for this person that are experts that do spend 60 hours a week focusing on that, to be my voice. And that's basically what we build at the AAVE China initiative. We see ourselves as one of the first DAO political parties, and we are strong of hundreds of delegation, hundreds of people that say, okay, what they vote is, and what they do and what they want, their vision for AAVE is interesting to us, and we will delegate to them. And what is important, and for me, what is groundbreaking compared to the normal political world, is that it's liquid democracy. So if people decide they don't agree with what they do in one transaction, I'm fired. And I think that should be that way.
I think it's also interesting. I know that AAVE China Initiative recently launched Go as well. So I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit more about like the purpose of Go and like what that kind of will mean, and what the kind of stablecoin industry is kind of looking like as well.
I think it's really important. So AAVE is an ecosystem, and a lot of the AAVE users are PoolTogether users, for example, and they just want to have fun in a way where they can approach in a different way the saving concept. And I think it's really interesting, and for them it's not at all speculative. Like they don't use the AAVE, they don't even know AAVE exists. It's written somewhere, AAVE pool, that's it. And there's many ways to approach decentralized finance, and for me, the whole point of decentralized finance is composability. So when you do a stablecoin, you can say, okay, I'm a trader, and I think ST-ETH is the future, so I want ETH, I want to stake that ETH, own a liquid staking token, and I don't want to spend my ETH, so I will mint some Go and leverage long ETH. And that Go, I will buy more ETH with it, and that's it. And obviously, if I'm wrong, if the price of ETH is wrong, go down, well, I will get liquidated, and that's life. That's the life and risk of the speculators. But I think many people that will use Go will just use the Lens protocol and say, oh, this person, their content is very good. I will send them one Go. Thank you for creating good content on the internet. And I think that's cool too. And when you are creating a stablecoin, what you want is to have speculative and non-speculative usage of your stablecoin. And that's what we are focusing on with the ecosystem. And we have Julien. Join us. Grab a mic and share. It's here, man.
One more person.
So I guess I was on time, but I was waiting for the mic, so...
Yeah, of course.
That's not true.
Yeah, it's true, it's true.
I was waiting in the back.
Well, since you're a little late, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone and then tell me a bit about what you do as well? Or tell the audience, I guess.
Oh, myself?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a Julien Bouteloup. I've been in space for quite some time. I run a Stake Capital Group. Stake Capital Group, we have a bunch of different companies internally that we have built ourselves and incubate. So, for example, Stake DAO, the liquid lockers in vote market. We have Wrecked News. There was a party last night. Yes, that's my voice. And we also have like Blackpool. We operate in a Sorare game, which is the unicorn in Europe, in a bunch of different NFTs games. We have a hedge fund, so we do like type of arbitrage liquidations in the space, and we also invest pretty heavily in the market, about more than 150 investments. Yes, and we also have a school, we have a podcast, we try to educate, we try to advise on multiple different projects. That's it.
Cool. To, I guess, like catch you up, we were kind of talking a bit about like what is going well in the crypto space right now, in the DeFi space, and then what I guess like is kind of an areas of improvement. And I was asking both Marc and Leighton about it, and I thought I'd catch your opinion on that too, if.
Globally, like in terms of like on the global picture?
I think we were mostly focused on governance. So
Yeah.
like on a governance perspective, what do you think is going well and what do you think needs improvement?
Yeah, I think over the past few years, we have learned in a tough way why civilizations such as Greek, Roman spent thousands of years trying to tackle governance. We believed that in a couple of years we could come up with solutions that will revolutionize society, but actually DAOs are not a real solution. They are helping, but they also they also create a bunch of different problems and can get the situation very chaotic. So I think in the governance it's also the same happening in the stake proof of stake in Ethereum. It's really in the different projects, for example, like Curve, because I was involved and still involved in the Curve wars, and vote market is really about rewarding people to make certain decisions. Is where do you push the decision level? And in the governance, some people that are involved in governance are not necessarily incentivized for short-term, medium, or long-term plan that you are trying to build. For example, if you build a project, you might have holders that don't necessarily need to have the project on the long term because they want to cash out short-term, and it creates a lot of different misalignment of incentives. And DAOs are complicated, and sometimes projects that build in a space and run DAOs, they spend more time trying to satisfy people and the holders than actually building the product. So yeah, we're learning, it's a lot of different changes. I think people now tend to focus on core team, having a lab that build the project, and then having the DAO and the community-wise that can make proposal and make ideas, but still have a core strong team to run the protocol. This is where we have seen the migration so far.
I think one question that I'm curious about personally is like, we talk a lot about decentralization, right? Everyone's like, decentralization is good, but I'm very curious about how each and every person defines what decentralization is. So like Marc was talking about before, you were saying how, you know, you can't really have a full-blown democracy where everything is flat. So what is something that could work? I mean, Marc, you can take it away.
I think, to me, the only thing that makes sense is that you have to consider that as a journey. Every idea in the world is one smart girl or one smart man that has a good idea and meet with a few friends on the co-working. Like one of these guys did 20 already successful. And each time he just send a DM on Telegram and say, hey, I have a great idea. And then it's one of the best things we have in the ecosystem. So it all starts like this. A few people that have a good idea and try to work together and find product market fit and prove to the world there's some added value to that idea. But if you have this decentralization vision, is that all you dilute that Genesis team, that the Genesis movement into and dilute the power of the protocol, and what is created in more and more hands to make sure everything goes more and more decentralized.
Yeah, I think maybe if I could add to a slightly different perspective is like, I feel like we maybe probably talk too much about decentralization and not enough about like automation. Like I think the superpower of crypto is the ability to enshrine immutable rules, and that's the superpower. It's not like the ability to have rules that are set by a decentralized group of people. That's cool. That's like a secondary thing. But we already have that without crypto. Like you can have the ability for people to vote on parameter changes or things like that. So I think, I don't know, I'm definitely a maximalist on like the best governance is no governance, and like what we should be trying to do more above all else first is just like eliminate the need for any arbitrary decision making. And then secondarily, yes, where there is a need to make a decision, hopefully it's in a decentralized fashion. Hopefully it's in it's a way where there's not like one single party that's dictating that. But I think first and foremost, I would advocate like the primary value of crypto isn't decentralization. Like the primary value is the automation.
There's two issues to that. I completely agree, but there's two caveats to that. The first one is that if you remove completely the ability to modify a protocol, like if you build an immutable protocol, basically there's a clear example in the space, like a very good protocol called Liquidity, and it's an excellent protocol, and I think LUSD is an asset for this ecosystem. But it's impossible when you launch Liquidity more than 2 years ago to say, okay, there's going to be staking. Staking will happen overnight, not really overnight, but and we're going to have liquid staking token, and that's what people want to hold, because if you already believe in it, you want exposure to the staking yield. So what you want as collateral for your stablecoin is a LST. But if your protocol is 100% immutable, well, Liquidity cannot have ST-ETH or ETH or Diva-ETH or one of these things as collateral. So what you do is you do a V2, that's what they announced this week, and then you have to migrate the whole Liquidity, restart from scratch, launch a new stablecoin, and nobody is smart enough, even if some people are very smart, to be completely future-proof.
Right, yeah.
I think the concept of a flagged organization in the decentralized way, it's a really a chimera. I don't know a single project that actually started as a decentralized project, like completely from anonymous decentralized things that is still operating today, except Bitcoin and Ethereum on the protocol level. So decentralization is nice when it's outside for governance community decisions to actually add feedback and ideas for upgrading the protocol, like what Marc just mentioned. But you still need a centralization of power in a lab that can drive the vision, but have external players that can also participate in some upgrades of the protocol, because we don't know everything. And the incentives of people today will be different from the people of tomorrow. So it's why we have to be very careful. And I don't know any single project that still operates today that started as a complete decentralized project.
You can argue Bitcoin.
That's what I said, yeah. I said Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, I agree.
The Ethereum actually started as a centralized power into a decentralization, but because it's the only project I know that is still operating today, and it was started as but still like a couple of players, but today is operated as a complete decentralized layer.
Gotcha.
And you can see the upgrades on the protocol are very slow because it's fully decentralized.
I guess like one of the other questions, I mean, the title of this panel was, the last part was Whitespace. So I assume Whitespace means like areas of improvement and what still can be worked on. And I'm curious like what you guys think. I know we only have 4 minutes left, so kind of like an ending thought almost of what you guys think is still like areas which we can tap into, which we haven't yet in this space.
I want to insist on what you said, Leighton, on the automation part. So decentralized autonomous organizations, so automated or autonomous organizations are really important. And I think the next frontier, especially for decentralized finance, are dynamic rate parameters and risk parameters, sorry, and how you define interest rate curves. To me, it doesn't make sense that we've been in 2023 on AAVE, we got like more than 150 AAVE improvement proposal, and I think 25% of that was increase supply cap, decrease supply cap, move the interest rate of plus 1%, decrease the liquidation threshold of 2%, which are like day-to-day mechanical change. It should be automated. You cannot ask the whole internet, is the button on the front end should be red or blue. Like at some point you need to have like some automation on that. We need to get better at this, and that's one of the area of improvement for sure for me.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, this is a little slightly off topic, but I think the weakest point from the adoption perspective is still wallets, particularly as it relates to security. Like I've
Please
started
uninstall MetaMask. Rabbi, Frame, much better.
I've become a like a multi-sig wallet sort of maximalist, because I am just so, it's so depressing to have people in like the PoolTogether Discord who show up and they're like in Vietnam or whatever, and they're like, oh, I just clicked this link and I like lost my $300 of like life savings. And it's like, that's just the saddest thing in the whole world. And like that negates all of the progress of like building this system if like the access point is still so vulnerable to a single point of failure. And so I know like account abstraction is getting really popular. Multi-sig wallets are getting really popular. It's a hot topic right now. But I feel like when I think about DeFi, like that's not exactly DeFi, but it's like it's a necessary condition to successful adoption of DeFi. And I think that is where I would love to see more innovation, specifically in terms of securing, and insurance goes with that too. Like letting people insure their whatever's in their wallet, like making sure that people can't just get wrecked.
Yeah, we'll still need the wrecked, okay? Because I think the problem of wallets is because of account abstraction and secure enclave and Apple and Android moving into the space with supporting those encryptions mechanism. I think the problem of UX and UI is pretty solved. I mean, not solved in terms of being implemented, but this technology completely opened up a new world, and Web2 guys will be able to build application without actually exposing the complexity of the blockchain underlying technology. What I believe in order for the adoptions is really the connection with CeFi, is how do we get notary, how do we get insurance, how do we get things that can protect people from the thing that we're using on a daily basis, which is basically a normal bank, it's an insurance mechanic, like AXA, for example. Those type of different things, because you cannot guarantee in a world where on statistic, I think it's above 80% of people cannot remember the password of Facebook or Twitter to tell people not your key, not your crypto. It's very difficult. I think this only speaks to a very small amount of people in the world, which is less than 1% or 0.1%. So we need to guarantee, we need to bring those outside CeFi products into DeFi. And this will really guarantee the adoption, because we can make sure people from Vietnam did open a link. It's actually from the Apple App Store, inside the enclave, inside the phone, backup by the cloud, like what Ledger was trying to do. It's you can opt in or you can opt out, but you have you have the choice. And I think this is really where we will be moving into true adoptions.
Awesome. Closing comments, sorry, Marc. All right, thank you guys so much.